Hey, pull up a tea or coffee with me and let's chat. It's been 2 years. I'm going to tell you where I've been and what I've been doing and what's been transforming and moving inside me. So if you want to hear about all that, stick around. But welcome back to the Embody Podcast. I originally started this podcast knowing that I would only do an episode if I felt aligned and inspired to do it for the sake of doing it. Not because I felt like I had to or assigned it to myself that I was going to do it every week. And I certainly didn't want to push it just because like maybe it was a marketing tool or something. It wasn't for the money. It was for sharing. It was for feeling inspired and using my voice. So in that 2 years that I disappeared, I thought about it a lot. I wrote notes down, like I want to talk about this on the podcast, then this. And it never felt 100% like, yes, I feel that same inspiration as I used to. It just always felt a little like, I'm only 90% there. I'm not going to do it. And then the notes just piled up. And after a while, I was like, God, how am I supposed to bridge everyone from where I was to where I am now? And I also realizing I didn't necessarily need to do that. But I needed to go inward and do a lot of transformation. But at the same time, I just chose to lean into being and peace and enjoyment and fun in a way that I've never done before, like very solidly. And it was great. It was a lot. So grab your cup of tea. I started using magnesium lotion. Oh, it's the greatest thing in the world. I'm looking at it on the side over here, so that made me think of it. But that's one thing that's changed. I've moved from kind of that heavy healing work to going lighter and lighter and lighter. Some of that really deep, deep trauma work, ancestral healing, family constellation, somatic experiencing. Oh, I love all that, but it just became a little bit heavy for me and weighted. And I needed to transform my work into something that was of light energy, quantum energy, but also could touch into those spaces. So in a lot of ways, I work as a healing coach, healing facilitator in some of the same ways, but it's so much easier and lighter and moves the energy and beliefs way quicker and very powerfully for those who are ready for it. And it's not that there's anything wrong with the other types of healing modalities, but it just started to feel like this is my sweet spot, working with energies in light form and energetic form in the body still, but in a way that moves with ease and effortlessness. And so that's one of the big things. And over this 2 years, I've really leaned into that. Excuse me, a burp. As you know, as all you SE practitioners out there know, that's like things are digesting. But I've really honed in on my intuitive skills, just sensing things in my body and energetically with and for people, things coming from multiple dimensions of ourselves. But also, for those that didn't resonate with that, it was kept I keep it very grounded in a way that relates to where they're at. So it was important that over these years, my work changed, as well as the way that I felt like I started to move into more of my artistic expression. I spent a lot of time singing, playing piano, working on my voiceover artistry and building a business that way. And then I became an actress and started doing commercials and short films and different skits and improv, all of that is super fun and also very scary sometimes as far as improv goes. I find that so scary, but so amazing. But leaning into my artistry, and in that 2 years I had bought a house and built a beautiful pollinator garden, put in a wood stove. I just loved this house. But then one day, it hadn't even been 2 years, I felt this strong intuition. It's time to sell the house and it's time to go. And I knew that my next adventure was starting. I knew that I was about to find my life partner. I wanted that person to come sooner than he actually did. But then in that time, I realized there were certain ways that I was still attached to stories of loneliness, need for freedom in a certain way, that I wanted to shift into freedom within partnership. And I got to see all of that in that time. And then that person came more in the last 6 months. But he's the person that I want to be with. And it is truly, truly magical. It feels like this person is exactly who I thought of in my head, but more. So in this amount of time, I've been really shifting these dynamics inside of myself and realizing that all these relationships that came before it were a practice of seeing myself, seeing what energies I had in me, what beliefs I still had residing in me, and seeing what I attracted next and then next. And all that time knowing that this probably wasn't the person that I'd want to be together with long term. I think just on my particular journey, I was very specific that I wanted to arrive at this really good place in myself before having the relationship that I wanted. And it got to the place where I really felt like I could be alone and happy and at peace. I had detached from a lot of dynamics in my world and in myself of drama or things that just, having more reactions than necessary, and letting peace be my dominant energy. And I was having fun and connecting with friends and doing my music. I was in a band. I was weightlifting. I started doing Olympic weightlifting, like clean and jerks and snatches, through CrossFit. But I'd never really loved the CrossFit side of things, mostly just the Olympic lifts. And I even did a competition. And in some ways, I burnt myself out. It was just a lot of prep for an intense experience. And then I knew I was going to slow down after that. But it made me feel so strong. I was also doing some music with others and got into West Coast swing dancing again quite a bit, loving my life. And then that person showed up, and it's like people say, right? When you're not looking, and it's hard to get there when you're not there. But if you're there, yeah, things happen. When you detach, when you're good either way. So a lot of my time has been spent going inward and getting clarity and mastery on my state of being, feeling aligned in myself, and trusting the signals that I get from the inside out of what's the next highest excitement, what's the next thing that really feels right for me, even if it doesn't make sense logically, but following that and surrendering into myself, trusting my journey, that's been quite an adventure. So that's where I've been. That's what I've been doing. And my little sister had a baby girl, so I have a niece. And I bought a gong. I bought a 40-inch Chinese wind gong and started getting mentorship from someone local that I really like. And I now play gong for people and myself. It's such a deep experience. Actually, on the podcast, I'm going to put a gong meditation with some subliminals, just messages that using my voice in an ASMR kind of style, where it just brings you into not thinking about anything, but letting those vibrations and words settle into a deeper space. But gong is really, really powerful. I feel like if I'm in a place where I'm not aligned, or if I'm having emotions and I play the gong, afterwards I'm just lined up again in a way that is so easy. It doesn't solve all my problems, of course, or like when I feel really off balance and wobbly. But over these last couple of years, I've really cemented the feeling that everything is working out for me. And if you're listening to this and thinking about your own journey or feeling into your own life, I want to send you that message. Everything is working out for you, even when it looks like it's not. When you're getting let down after let down, or things happening that are unexpected or uncomfortable, think about it in terms of maybe it's showing you something that you need to see. Maybe it's relevant and it has some wisdom for you or some piece of yourself. Or if you've centered yourself in a higher state of being or frequency, a more expanded frequency, or you desire something and you've really claimed that, or even started to, then things that don't match that frequency are going to have to fall off the plate, fall out, and show up. They show up in order to do that. So a lot of times people come to me and they say, it feels like such a setback. I thought I was fine about this thing, or I thought this was going well in my life and now it's not. And I'm feeling these feelings all over again, or I'm feeling upset when I've worked so hard for this. Well, as you expand and as you move and unfold the next possibility of your life that your spirit wants to get to, and that you start to connect in with, the things that have been taking up space, the energies, the beliefs, the mindsets, the realm, the reality that you're living in needs to show up for you to see it, for you to make the next choice of surrendering and letting that move through, of choosing what you want next. And it's not a setback. It's actually forward momentum. So everything is working out for you. And when you really, really can't believe that, when it's the hardest, darkest night of the soul feeling and you just can't feel like it's working out for you at all, just honor that feeling. Honor, and surrender. And you can hold that idea still, that maybe you don't know how this is working out for you, but it is. I don't know how right now, but I know this is working out for me, or I want to believe that it's working out for me, instead of going to all the other thoughts and believing all that. So yeah, I've been mastering my alignment and expanding more and more, and getting clearer about how and when I shift into another state of being, and how to shift back into, or more so into, an aligned space of myself. And doing lots of meditation in the way of tuning in and feeling what energies are moving through me, what is calling to me, what's coming to me, what's happening in and around me, what do I need to look at. And this last couple of years, I've really gotten into listening to Bashar, but now I'm kind of done with that major listening in and picking up that frequency, but he talks about parallel realities, and it just started to really make sense for me. I even had a dream the other day that cars were driving towards me while I was going on a one-way street. So these cars shouldn't be driving that way. And my mom was scared, but I knew they were just coming towards us and moving past us, and they weren't even bothering us. And so I let her know that. And as I was driving, I was like, see, it's not even affecting us. So that is how I see parallel realities. When you switch into a state of being that is different from the one you're in, you are immediately a different person and in touch with a completely different web of beliefs, ways of being, and an outer connection that is completely different. So it's like an entire different world, different paradigm, where often, we can see across realms or realities. I call it a realm. I know other people they use that word in different ways, but it fits for me. When you're in a certain realm or reality, you can see across realities and see what's going on, just like those cars coming and being in this one, but not affected. And there are certain ways that you're not experimenting with or working with different dynamics and beliefs anymore that you used to be. So maybe those are of the old reality, and you can still see it. You can still see other people maybe struggling with it or working within that space in a polarity of some sort, working it out, and you're in this one, and maybe it's of peace or a different vibration, or maybe you're working on other dynamics here. So I've been honing my skills as a reality hopper, and I feel like I'm a million different people from who I was when I last did the podcast, or when I even started the podcast in 2017. Whoa, that was so long ago. That's 8 years ago. Maybe it's been more than 2 years since I've been on here. Crazy. But thank you for joining me. And upcoming, there are going to be some gong meditations, like I mentioned. You can reach out to me if you want to purchase a personalized gong meditation or gong sound healing, and give me some ideas for what you want to experience in that meditation, or I can channel it for you. Or if you want to gift it to a friend for the holidays, it's a lovely gift. And then upcoming, I've got some really interesting things, including a possible co-host coming on for Q&A with me and with all of you, and lots of topics that have been stored up over the years that are still relevant to me today. So I wanted to connect in and share them with you. So thanks so much for being here on the Embody Podcast. If you want a personal meditation, check out CandiceWoo.com/personal meditations. And also check out all the archives of the Embody Podcast. I know I was a different person, but there are so many episodes that are guided experientials or meditations or a topic that I think I was pretty wise back then in some ways. And I made those episodes to be evergreen so that anyone at any time can go back and plug into those for support, for maybe a little guidance, or to open up something if they're stuck. CandiceWoo.com/meditations. You can search the database for different healing experientials, maybe one about breakups or about letting go of the past, or talking to a part of yourself that seems to be stressing you out, or feeling pain, or feeling angry. So much on there. So thank you so much for being here. if you're still listening now and you were a fan or a listener back then, that's extra special. And if you're new here, that's also very special. So thank you so much. And I'll see you next time on the Embody Podcast.